interview over, eh? Hello everyone, welcome for another team overview. This time we have the king of the castle himself, Dave Bamford. Should I ask you to introduce yourself or and the team?
That's you can ask me to that if you like. I'm quite happy to introduce myself.
Sure, go ahead.
For those who don't know me, I'm Dave Bamford. I'm the host of Banter Pint on the Throne, not my own, obviously, with friends. So you might recognise my voice from that. I have the honour of being the manager of Team UK, as you can see behind you. Yeah, that's me. I'm a Martell player by trade, apparently. But other than that, I like to play a bit of everything.
We watched you today.
And how did it go?
You missed little.
I did what, sorry?
You missed little.
Ah, okay. I know I could have won in dominance the turn before if I thought about it, and then I did the wrong thing, which was a mistake. But
yeah, I may have shouted on
the. Can't get them all.
I may have shouted on the stream. I was so excited because oh my gosh, it's gonna finish earlier. Nah.
No. I wouldn't have been ready anyway. I wasn't wearing my suit for the game. I had to put it on after. Change out my playing kit and into my post-match.
Representing those who haven't seen the Bulgarian t-shirts as well, I'm trying to be as classy as possible for our end as well. Yeah.
How do you pronounce your name? I read it as Baho, but obviously that's not how.
Which of all my names do you mean?
The nickname in the middle, the
Vancho.
B-A...
Vancho. Oh, it's in Vancho. It's in Cyrillic.
Vancho. Okay.
It's in Cyrillic. Yeah.
If you look at them and pretend they're Latin characters, it doesn't sound the same. So I won't do that.
Yeah.
Again.
It's the same if you look my game tags everywhere. It says UBAH, which in Latin is Uba, but then in Cyrillic it's Ivan.
Oh, okay.
So
makes sense.
Makes sense. So I don't wanna. I know you participated last year. So how are the expectations for this year for your team?
Last year we had a pretty successful tournament. We certainly did a lot better than we expected. I was really pleased with the effort from the lads. We managed to turn a rocky start around and actually managed to make the final, despite almost going out at the earliest possible point. The lads really put in 110%, really turned it around. Every game was a final for us all the way through. But eventually we came second to Germany, and they played really well in the final, and I accept responsibility for a lot of that loss because sadly I didn't put in my full effort in the final. So really this year we've just got to go one better. We've had a good start against Canada in the first round. We were really happy to win that. It's basically a 6-point win. But as I've been saying to the guys, we can't let. We've just got to keep going, push through. The tournament isn't won in the second week, but you can lose it that early. So we just got to keep heads in the game, one game at a time. But we're really happy so far. Couldn't be prouder of the lads today. It's just take one game at a time and see how we do. Really,
we are doing basically the same. I hunted down our players one by one. I mean, you know most of us, so you know at least where we are. But it was a little bit of struggle to find the full team for us. But yeah. So last year you started 2-0, right? 0-2.
We did, yeah.
So it was uphill battle constantly.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, as I say, every game was the final all the way through to the end when we lost the final. But all credit to Germany and all credit to the lads who were really demoralised after 2 losses. But we turned it around, and we were in fact, only 1 point away from going out because we won the third game 5-4. So it was as close as possible to being eliminated as early as possible. So this year at two wins, we're a lot pleased. Words are hard.
Yeah.
Much more pleased with that.
Great. So did you change your approach of picking the players this time around? I think the team is mostly the same.
We've definitely stayed with a lot of the veterans. So we've got a really good, solid core of players in the UK, and I'm really happy with how the team turned out last year. But we didn't want to rest on our laurels because we've got some really good players who didn't get the opportunity to play last year. and we found room for them, which we're really happy. And we managed to build the team around around those old players and slot in these new players into the system to really take advantage of them. So we looked at their performances over the last year or so and chose the players that have been putting in not just the international performances like we did, but the overall solid performances
Locally as well.
for regular thrones, obviously. No one got in purely on their performance in the World Cup last year. My place wasn't safe, even though I went undefeated in Swiss. I still had to qualify purely on my year's record as a whole. But we were really lucky to get some new players in. Nicholas is an up-and-coming superstar. I would say probably a great advert for the game, and that he only picked it up at Blackwater last year. That was his first event. He'd been playing less than a week. And now I think he's 2-0 in the World Cup. He's had a regional win. And we're very lucky that his London roots won through, and he chose to play for the UK and not for France, where he was born. So we're very keen to have him. Paul has just joined us. He's got a real head for the creative side of the game, and it's really important having him in the middle of the pack. The veterans have taken him under his wing, kept his more creative, for want of a better term, his jank to one side, and given him a consistent deck that can play well. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And the players that did play last year, but aren't playing this year, they're still involved in the backroom staff. So
I mean,
it's nice to have them
generally, UK meta is always been strong and consistent. So although 9 people, 12 are playing, I don't know how many reserves we have. The whole meta, if it gathers, it's a force to be reckoned, definitely.
So we like to think we've got a good pool to pick from.
Yeah, definitely. So ban and restricted list. How did you receive it, guys? Happy with it? Unhappy with it?
Well, personally, my style of play wasn't affected by the changes to the laws as much as other players were. Certainly, I took the stuff I've been working on since before the last World Cup. I refined it a bit further. My restricted card swapped for a card that was already in my deck, so it didn't matter. I added Desert Raider, and then other people lost their toys. So it just got better when Return to the Fields was considerably less in the meta. So I'm quite pleased. I know certainly other people have struggled to adapt. I don't want to criticise the officials, but I know they have got decisions wrong in the past, and I do think that certain ban hammers were not strong enough. For instance, Wyman Mandley is still able to play, and he should really be banned from the game completely. I think in this format, he is just truly obscene, and we don't enjoy playing with him.
We see. Also, your Unbound is still there, but like to lesser degree, because some builders is still the strongest deck, and those attrition are not there that much.
Yeah, that's odd, isn't it? Losing the other toys meant that you can still play with your Unbound and things, but we're lucky that I don't think there are too many extra Night's Watch players around, and the meta's shaken out to be quite even, I think, hasn't it? The Mystery Knights are relatively balanced.
You can say that 7 Martel, 7 Targaryen, 6 Martel, and everything else is here and there. So I think only Night's Watch, there is not a single Night's Watch Mystery Knight. Compared to last year, if you recall, everyone was Valyrian Steel.
Yeah,
Night's Watch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we had a Night's Watch Mystery Knight for at least part of it, if not the whole thing. I don't know whether we'll be able to change our decks up, or whether the restricted list will change much in the cut, but that'll certainly be interesting to see how that shakes out. And hopefully we'll still be here to talk about it then.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to probably pick some people's brains if we see a new restricted list then. That would be a very interesting discussion, I think. So, Mystery Knight, what did you choose this year?
The Mystery Knight. We have a number of really versatile players, which allowed us to essentially we could have chosen any faction, which was great. It was purely a power decision to take Targaryen. They haven't been hurt too much by the recent changes to the laws. We've got a great player joining us in Matt Slade. He wasn't with us last year based on his performances for the London Keys. He's been brought up to the big leagues, to international duty. It was the perfect player for Mystery Knight because he's a one club man. He only plays Targaryen, so putting him as the Mystery Knight was the obvious choice.
Yeah, I mean, things align like that, so... Yep, we are on about Targaryen as well. People have probably already know everything about most of the teams. So, yeah. Then, did you brainstorm any weird strategy of signing order?
The order, well, some of the lads have lucky shirt numbers, obviously. We had to have our captain. I manage the team, but Joe takes us through the day-to-day captaining. So he had to be number one, obviously. I'll certainly prefer to play at 2, but my skills are transferable, so 3 was okay. So other than that, it was just fit ball in the middle, put Nicky at right back, and jobs are good.
Yeah, sounds like a solid strategy. I talked with Chris and who told me, and the Latvian team, I forgot his name. They all both said, "Oh, we were tipsy when we were doing it." I don't remember.
Sorry, can you say that again? I missed that.
Chris from Netherlands and from Latvia team leader, they said, "Oh, we came home tipsy, choose something at random." And that's how other people decided. I drew patterns. Number 1.
Why not? It's just a shame we can't come home tipsy at the moment. We have to stay home tipsy.
Not that fun.
No.
So let's jump to the quick deck overviews. We're going alphabetical order if you're following on the site. So Baratheon is first, obvious Baratheon Kukhor.
Sure, yeah. You've got the list up. This is fantastic.
Oh, skills! I told you I have an extra monitor. There is like improvements.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So yeah, Paul was one of those players that he was the most difficult to fit into our system. He's a very creative player. The ideas he has during our training sessions were truly fantastic. If it was up to him, we would all be playing the High Sparrow, and I don't think any of the High Sparrows got through. So yeah, Qohor is one of those things that can marry his love of interesting builds with his love of big lads going quickly and keeping him from playing absolute jank. So Qohor gives him the ability to play lads, win quickly, but also Qohor, the agenda itself, allows him to play those interesting lines, creative lines, so that he can win the game, basically. Keeps him engaged whilst giving him a consistent foundation to fall back on. So yeah, it was a bit of a no-brainer. Once we decided that Paul would be playing Baratheon, Qohor was absolutely the right call for that. Any particular questions about the list or anything?
I mean, my particular question about the list is why Silesia and not King in the North, for example. Or its money was that big of a concern?
Sorry, say that again.
Was money that big of a concern? Economy for the deck.
So obviously you've lost. What's the card?
Great Hall.
Yes, I don't play many 6 costers, so I forget what it's called.
Welcome to the team.
We've lost Great Hall, which obviously is a fairly important card in the World Championship style Baratheon Qohor decks. So Selyse was that, it just gives you that burst of Bob comes into play with Heir to the Iron Throne and then instantly everything happens, which we felt was really good. And she's a decent R'hllor character for all of the things. Ideally, you can just win before you need to flip King of the North anyway. So, yeah. And King of the North is in particular one of my least favourite cards, despite how much I liked Burning Bridges in first edition. So I'm definitely glad to see that.
They're a little bit different.
The change in the laws.
Yeah, they're a little bit different. Burning Bridges was also one of my favorite cards. But not huge fan of King of the North. Stops all my fun, usually.
Yeah, exactly. Factions like ours, which don't really have kings, it just seems like cheating.
Yeah, like for a whole turn. Now, next. Come on. Next, Greyjoy Conclave.
Greyjoy Conclave.
This feels
so-
like Wama's influence to some extent.
So Matt is a really really good player who has put in amazing performances for London. But sadly, he had a really really tough time at the last World Cup and just couldn't translate his domestic results into international results. So we've been working about what is Matt good at. Let's play to his strengths because his domestic results still justified his place in the team. And what we decided was a deck that, Whammer has played in the past, and Costas has been playing more recently in preparation for the sadly postponed UK Thrones War. And that was Greyjoy Conclave, in that you've got the big lads, which are, back to basics, drop your big lads, win challenges. But like some other decks, there are enough decisions where Matt can trust himself to make the right decisions with these. He will make that right Conclave decision. He will make that right Glass Candle decision, that right Balon decision, and kind of things which other players may not be able to see. And it would be wrong of us to play a Greyjoy deck without Vince in Team UK. So that was a fairly obvious conclude. Is if we can fit Vince in there, we will do. If we can't, then we should really think about, is this the best Greyjoy deck?
Yeah.
And certainly, how much fun Conclave is, and
Definitely.
how good Greyjoy big guys are. So you put the two together, and you've got a beautiful thing.
Definitely.
And he might be able to pillage some more.
You can pillage some more, yeah. You can probably pillage someone to the death. The day my opponent finished with 4 cards in his deck, I didn't pillage anything. But
Oh, really?
that's the draw of Martel. Next, Wani Banner Wolf. Wilco's deck, or sort of Wilco's deck.
Yeah, so this was an interesting one. Obviously, Lannister's a bit of an interesting place in the meta, in that the obvious decks are Shadows, which has been partially hurt by the changes to the laws by the organisers. Then Crossing is an obvious list, but we decided that we had a better crosser elsewhere. That was certainly an option for Paul Geddes to play in this position, but in the end, Costas got his cards out. He looked through all his expansions, and he thought, you know what, I'll dredge something up from the past. A real box-to-box deck builder. Just looking through all those expansions. He's a great player with attrition. Like, he played some Night's Watch stuff for the last season, and now he's come in and playing this instead, and we're having fantastic results. We're really, really lucky to have Costas in our team. Much like Nikki, who chose us over France, Costas would be eligible to play for the Greek team, and he was really instrumental in our success last year, and is going to, I imagine, just as successful this year. I think he's already 2-0, and I expect him to go as near to undefeated as possible.
Don't we hope all? Don't we hope all? Next, I've seen this list before. I think it was last year World Cup undefeated stuff. I don't know. Do you know it? Should be your list.
Yeah. When we started to plan for the World Cup, when they realised that I would be playing on the team based on the results of the last year, and we realised that we had to play with a variety of agendas, it was instantly, well, Dave can play Martel Wars. And then I stood back and just provided constructive criticism on everybody else. I changed 3 cards, one because the Iron Throne was banned, and then I took out a character and something else for the Desert Raider. And then right at the end, Rowan suggested I had an Iron Bank will have its due, which was really good today. So yeah, I've been playing the Neville Chamberlain, the Wars to Come since the last year. Yeah, obviously I played it when Wars to Come was a thing initially, but I started playing it again in practice for the last World Cup. I played it at Siege of Winterfell, I played it in London Game Night Kits, and I took it to the World Championships this year. And I'm very comfortable with the deck. It shines in an open decklist format, in that the opponent has to play around my threats, but giving me plot knowledge is a much bigger advantage for me, I believe, given the plots I have and given the kind of player I am. Is a much bigger advantage for me than it is for my opponents. So
Yeah.
I find playing in an open decklist format, especially when I can refer to the decklist, a big boon for me.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was a bit of a no-brainer. I had a decent result last year. Unlucky to lose a couple of my games. Certainly, the final was disappointing, where I took a battering from the star German player Lennart. But yeah, it was certainly a no-brainer to put me on Martel Wars, I think.
Yeah, same thing what we did with Pomen. So
Are you playing Martel Wars in your team? Or?
of course Pomen is playing. He made the cut in Stalek, so
Oh, well, yeah, exactly. What's not to love?
what's not to worry? I mean, it. The weird thing for us was that before Pomen said I may not be able to play, and until that point it was a nightmare. And then he said
wow.
I'm going to play, and we said okay, you're playing Martel Wars, so we don't have to worry about one deck less.
Perfect.
And everything went in worrying about what to do with Wannister. But
I will say, last year I played Exposed Duplicity, and this year I dropped it in advance of the World Championships for the second City Besieged, which has been amazing. And of course, this year in the World Cup, I've played 2 Shadows decks. So that's frustrating.
I forced Pomen to keep it as a team captain.
Yeah.
Keep that duplicity. It's a 10th pot. You rarely go 10 pots, so better be there.
Yeah, true. It's just and it was always a fine. It's 4-5-1. It doesn't hurt you unless you've got Garrus, but that's kind of a nonsense. But it's just that so many games were won by flipping that second City Besieged, going first with the host, 2 claim, kneeling out Winterfell, kneeling out their economy, kneeling out the Red Keep. All these massive cards which could really disrupt you, and you go, nope, City Besieged. Here we go, and nobody sees it. Well, less so here, where they can see it, but certainly in the offline games, nobody sees the second City Besieged coming.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit different than concealed information and not. Next, I think this is your Mystery Night. Oh no, it's Nightwatch first. Ugh, can we skip this one?
Where are we?
Nightwatch Summer.
Nightwatch Summer. Yeah, so obviously we have a lot of incredibly versatile players in the UK. I think of myself as versatile, but then you look at Zimmer, you look at Wormsley, and you look at Wood, and they are, top tier players who can play basically anything. We were really concerned that Ryan wouldn't actually be able to be available for the World Cup, but we did manage to get him, and because he came in a bit later, we hadn't decided on a Night's Watch, and so he just slipped into it like a pair of comfortable shoes. Played Night's Watch Summer, played Builders. He's probably one of the best defensive players in the world. He's played the Winterfell Castle deck. He was the originator of that. Was inspired by House of Dreams, Gates of Winterfell from first edition. He played that to lots of success back in the beginning of the game, and fundamentally that is what Night's Watch wanted to be. You defend all your challenges. And then when he went to the World Championships, he made top 8, I think, with a defense deck. So it was a natural fit to put him in as a defender, essentially. And we've got Whammer on our team, who is 50-50 builder of builders. So what's not to love?
Yeah, I mean, I hate the deck with passion, but...
yeah, I agree. But you don't get style points in the World Cup. You've got to play the best deck.
That is true. So wait, what happened with your Mystery Night? I skipped the Mystery Night. Give me a second. I'm going to find it now. So Mystery Night, Targaryen House with the Red Door. Does that sound right? Dragon Pit.
Yes, that's correct. Obviously, as I said, Slade is a one-team man. He only plays
Targaryen.
He only plays Targaryen, yeah. So we knew that he would either take Targaryen or the Mystery Knight, and in the end, Targaryen is so strong that we thought we'd have 2. House of the Red Door was kind of one of those interesting agendas in that, certainly it was one of my favourite agendas from first edition, so I'm happy to see that Dragon Pit is back, even if I always hated Dragon Pit. Slade is a good burn player. He prefers to play tower decks in terms of, pop a load of Tokars on Danny. But now that's actually good. We thought we'll put him on a burn deck. And as soon as Costas realised that we didn't have to play House of Dreams out of Lannister, Dragon Pit seemed perfect. We've got the variety in our Targaryen decks. We've got this. There was definitely some choices that he made that I was less comfortable with, such as the only 2 Drogon. But
I'm looking at the 3 Incinerates and like flashing a red white in my mind, but
yeah, why is he running the Incinerate? Did you say?
no, why is it 3 times and not 3 times consuming flames, for example? That's my question. It's
Yeah,
usually the other way around.
I probably agree with you, but there you go. He can't be convinced. We got him to drop most of the nonsense, and then he got something that he was happy with. Rowan subbed in for him on the first game and won that, and Slade won after an absolute shift. It was a really difficult game for him, despite what we thought would be a comfortable matchup in the Singapore game. So we're really glad that he pulled that out. But I can't comment too much on why that is particularly. I know that Slade never seems to have any cards in his hand when he plays against me in the prep. So presumably he just likes to discard them early.
Yeah,
That can be the only explanation.
that could be the only explanation. Yeah, so then this was the Mystery Night. We talked Night's Watch Summer. And then Star Crossing, like everyone else. So all decks tier 1, you didn't design anything fun to play aside from maybe the Conclave. Everything is tier 1 here from what I'm seeing.
I think so. I think the most out there deck would be Costas's Banner Wolf, but equally, like, that's proven in the past in various guises. It's just updated to fit his style.
Yeah, and Costas as a pilot is extremely strong, so...
Exactly. As I say, we're very lucky to have him on the team. Nicky Butcher is, as I said, he's a fairly new player who we sniped from France. And he's been playing mainly Stark over the last year. So he was an actual fit to put as our start player, and he's certainly he's also played Crossing in a number of builds and variances over the last year. One of the best crossers of our meta, certainly, if not this generation, to be so bold. So he just plays it. He plays really tightly, even though you can still be slightly less experienced, and every game is a learning experience for him, because we can say, well, why didn't you do this? And he goes, oh, okay, yeah, fair enough, because he is just that little bit less experienced than the rest of us. But even without that, he's just a really, really solid, basics down kind of card player, and giving him Crossing was just such a no-brainer. It's just, some of our decks just fell into place, like Wars with me and Crossing with Nicky, and that was just a great thing. Deccan with Thrones, I'll describe him as.
Yeah, Bear Island Scout, not Mira.
Yeah, I think in Crossing that's the right call. Like, Mira can win you games in a slightly slower game, but in Crossing you just want to go big, you want to go wide, you want to get all those bodies on the table, you want to bin them to Wyman without caring. I can't remember who we played against, but we played against the Stark deck in the last 2 weeks, and because they had Mira, it seemed really scary, but suddenly their board just wasn't big enough to sustain Mira, and you sack something, you put about Shadows, and then I think it was Wyman got marched, and she wasn't good enough in that deck. They couldn't go wide enough. Maybe if they kept her out, fine, she gets marched instead. But go wide with those Bear Island Scouts. They are obscene. They are a terrible design decision, and that's why we have them in our deck.
Yeah. Definitely one of the more interesting choices. People ask me if I'm going to stream in 10 minutes another game. So yeah, but let's finish this first. There is not that much left. Next, I hate all the Valyrian Steel decks. I cannot fit them on the screen like I like to. So Targaryen Valyrian Steel. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, Targaryen Valyrian Steel. So yeah, Joe has been playing that since before Starlek last year. I can't remember if he played it
Guess who
If he played it
eliminated
in the
me in
last
the
World Cup, he may
cut?
have. Sorry?
Guess who eliminated me in the cut in Stalag this year?
I can't remember.
Joe. It was
Oh, he
Joe.
eliminated you, did you say?
Yes, he eliminated me in the cut.
Oh,
After
I would say I'm sorry, but I'm really not.
yeah, a very solid deck. Didn't lost. I mean, lost quite a bit if you ask me with Marine and Kotyo, but
Yeah, it did, I guess. But I know Joe's deck at Starlek played Hisdar as the restricted card, which allows you to play King of the North even more consistently.
yeah.
Just shit out those characters. But I think in this instance, yeah, you keep Return to the Field so you can recycle your things. The fact that Gifts of the Widow is playable in the World Cup without taking it as your restricted slot just meant that Targaryen Valyrian Steel was a really solid deck. I mean, it's awful to play against because that Gift of the Widow could be 20 different attachments. Probably not picture powder, but it could be 20 different attachments.
Oh, well, the way I always see it is like you have each attachment 4 times
Yeah,
instead of 1.
exactly, which is obscene. And being able to get exactly the right one for any situation, and your opponent can barely play around that, is just crazy. And it's just a real blessing that King of the North isn't legal, because if it was, you know, you go and get that Beggar King whenever you need, and then that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I think last is James deck. James is on Tyrell, right?
He's Tyrell, yeah.
Yeah, so we have Tyrell Reigns. And finally King in the North somewhere. In the
Yeah,
in the decks.
with the freeing of Hightower, it did allow us to play a bit of King of the North somewhere, which is nice. Well, nice for him, horrible for his opponents.
Yeah. I mean,
Whammer he's one of the British greats. You know, he's up there with Wood and Costas and Charlton. He's just absolute real quality. He could have played any deck, and it was down to the last few where it was we need a Tyrell player, we need a Night's Watch player, we need a whatever the other one was. And he just went back to his roots. He played Tyrell. He's been playing, obviously, Tyrell as his main house for years. And Reigns of Castamere was a deck that I think it was his, essentially. He gets the credit for Reigns of Castamere out of Tyrell, as far as I remember, because I remember when Craven was the first to build Greyjoy Reigns of Castamere, he credited Whammer's previous builds as the main inspiration. It's just such a great agenda out of Tyrell because of all the strength bombs. And it's not even about triggering Reigns all the time.
oh yeah.
It's just about threatening it, and it's just a beautiful thing to watch him play. Really, true master of the game, playing all these tricks, and then he's got the fundamentals down. Big lads for now, win some challenges.
Renown is good. I voted for the worst keyword in the game on the player survey, but yeah, I don't get
Did you say
Renown.
keyword of the game?
Worst keyword in the game.
I said the same. It's so boring.
Yeah. Then
Winning a challenge should give you the pleasure of winning a challenge, and that should be enough.
yeah,
You don't need Renown as well.
yeah. But this looks like Wama. I streamed, I think, one of his games earlier this week. He said just good old stuff.
There is a good chance of that. He played it. Yeah, he played it a decent time. So yeah, he's a good player playing good cards, and then the Hightower just makes those good cards better.
Even better.
Now it's yeah.
Tinder Marjorie. And nothing too off about her.
No, yeah, just a solid all-rounder there.
Also Renown. Ugh. Ugh. Those keywords that we don't have with you. So, any last words, closing words?
Not really. I guess thank you for listening to me. I appreciate. I haven't been on the
Always a
airwaves.
pleasure.
And yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Well.
And of course, thank you to my team and my back office team, my assistant manager Paul, the old veterans, the those on the sidelines, the fans, obviously. Yeah, cheers.
Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. That was Dave. And I think I'll get a rest. I've been streaming all day today and playing, so I'll get probably a rest for one game. Although one of my players is playing, so I should probably keep an eye on that. What is going on there? But then again, wife more important stuff. So,
Take a break, come back for the next one.
yeah, we'll see. We have a lot of games today, but all of them can play with how was it, relaxed situation, because I managed to push it somehow.
I was just reading through the comments. Do you mind if I add a quick?
Sure, go for it. I mean, that's the most comments we have since in all the interviews, but yeah.
Well, you're welcome. I think, as Vince has pointed out, we have the 1st and 2nd of August is the Battle of Blackwater Bay, the Road to Starlight event in London. If we are off lockdown, then please come along to that. Of course, the first prize is free accommodation by free entry to Starlek. If we're not off lockdown, we're going to do it online anyway, so it'll be nice and easy. But if we are off lockdown, come and see me in London. I probably won't have the flag, but we'll see about the suit.
Well, I cannot promise I'll come, but I invite everyone to go and play at Blackwater. It's always all the road to Starleks are amazing. Ours at this stage looks like it will be online. We have to figure stuff out about it, and as we are a small meta, like 2 people trying to run everything. So
when
if it's one is middle of June, but I don't think people will be able to travel that soon. And if they travel, I don't find it justified. So better stay home and safe. But we'll see. We are still working on it, working on promos and stuff like that. So we didn't give up on it. So. Starlek is by, right? Starlek is by. Whoa.
And hopefully we can go to Starlek. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Yeah. So thanks again for joining me. I'll drop off and see you in the next one. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks, Ivan. Cheers.